So yesterday we left off on, we finished 14. I don't know if y'all were able to actually get all of that down, but that was the last part of C that we did as the bell rang yesterday. So the next one we're going to look at is 16. This one's about gas prices. So here are box plots of weekly gas prices at a service station in the Midwestern United States, prices in dollars per gallon. So you can see they've got them listed out in 2002, 2003, and 2004. And it says to compare the distributions over the 3 years. So what do we notice about them? So, we could say something like each year the average price increases because it's getting a bigger span. What else do you see on the graph?
2002 has outliers.
Yep. 4 low outliers in 2002. Do any other ones have outliers? 04, so we have 1 high outlier in 2004. And then as far as the shape of them each year, do you notice anything in particular?
2004 is long.
So what does that mean about skew?
It's skewed right. Right?
So it would be taken and flipped
Oh, so left.
sideways, yeah. So 2002 would be skewed left.
2004.
Yes, thank you. Do you want a cookie point?
Yes, please.
What about... Wait a second. I said that backwards, didn't I?
It's not, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure
No.
it's right, but
Hold on. Let's just back up here for a second. What is going on? Okay. Yes, the numbers need to go in order. I was looking at it upside down. Okay, yes. So, if that's the case, then you said 2004 was
or skewed right.
skewed right. Yes. Okay. I still give you a cookie point, though.
Wait, so like, let's have a college algebra. Say both of my classes get 10 cookie points. I get double cookies.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll lump them together.
year-
Like, I'll lump 2 classes together. Like, last year I had a couple classes that had the same people in, like, both classes. So I just put them together.
So last year in pre-cal though, we did not get like any cookie points because we literally talked the entire time. It was so bad.
Well, and when I did make mistakes, nobody would catch them.
Exactly. And you think with like Taylor being in the class, she would. She did it. I was like, Taylor.
That's what I know, that in pre-cal, Peyton will catch it.
Oh yeah.
One day, Josh, we just went on, Josh said some answer. It was like off the calculator. He said some answer, and everybody just like, okay, Josh said it, let's just go with it. We get to the end of the problem, like, guys, this isn't right. Like, there's no way. Like, this isn't what the answer's supposed to be. And so then we're like, Josh, you gave us the wrong number. And Peyton wasn't there that day, and we're like, Peyton, please come back. Because she would have never let it get that far without saying something. All right, so what about the other 2 years here? What about 2003 and 2002?
2003 is skewed right, and 2002 is skewed left.
Yep. And so then from the graph, in which year were the prices the least stable?
2002. Oh wait, no.
So why would you say that?
Because there are outliers.
Ignore the outliers.
Yeah.
If you ignore outliers, what would you say?
2004.
I know.
Play.
They're bad. Okay, why would you say 2004 then?
Because it goes like many prices, so it's like the price is long. I don't know how to explain it.
The widest average, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2004, the range was much wider. Okay, in regards to price, obviously. And what about the IQR? If you look at the IQRs, it has the biggest one out of all of them. So it also has the biggest IQR. And some of it's just kind of looking, 2003 and 2004 look kind of similar, but I think if you really actually move them side by side, you would see that 2004 is a little bit bigger. Interquartile range. So it's Q3 minus Q1. All right, the next one. Number 22. A survey of 1,021 school-aged children was conducted by randomly selecting children from several large urban elementary schools. Two of the questions concerned eye color and hair color. In the survey, the following codes were used. Okay, so you have the hair color and you have eye color, and they each have a number associated with them. The statistics students analyzing the data were asked to study the relationship between eye and hair color. They produced this plot. Is their graph appropriate? If so, summarize their findings, and if not, explain why not. Huh? Their median? Yeah. Well, one of them has it, but
I don't think the graph is appropriate.
why?
Because you have like eye color on one side and then hair color on the other side, and I just.
What are those two things? What kind of variables are both of those?
Color.
No, what kind of variable? What? No. Like categorical or quantitative?
Categorical.
So,
Okay, categorical.
is this appropriate? No, because they're both categorical variables.
That makes sense.
Okay, and like you said, like they didn't have a median on there, but part of the reason they didn't have a median was because they didn't have usable information to begin with. But it's quite comical how they came up with a graph. Like that just doesn't even logically make sense.
Read that. Like what? Doesn't make sense.
It's crazy, but you know,
And
whatever.
it was a short answer. So.
Okay. Let's do one more. Number 24. Here are the summary statistics for the sizes in acres of the Finger Lakes vineyards. So it gives you all the information. So then A says, would you describe this distribution as symmetric or skewed and explain?
Can we like draw a thing or?
You can, but there's an easier way.
Okay.
So think about, do you remember at the end of, I want to say we did it at the end of one of your packets because I forgot to put it in the notes because I, for some reason, every year forget to put it in the notes, so I throw it in the packet. We talked about something about mean and median and their relationship.
Oh, it's like if one is bigger.
If the mean is greater than the median, it's skewed right. If the mean is less than the median, it's skewed left, and the mean is almost equal to the median, it's symmetrical.
All right, so what would this one be? So then B, are there any outliers? And explain. So how do I find that?
You have to do the equation. So you have to do find IQR and then do.
So what might IQR be for this one?
Q3 minus Q1, so 55 minus 18.5.
So 36.5, and then we're going to plug it into that equation. So Q1 is 18.5 plus, or minus, 1.5 times 36.5. And then the other one, I'll just go ahead and set it up, is 55 plus 1.5 times 36.5.
The first one is negative 36.25. And then 109.75.
So based on that information, are there any outliers?
Yes.
Okay.
Negative 36.25.
Huh?
That one. Negative 36.25. There's one.
Outliers would mean it's outside of our data. Or like that our data is outside of those values, rather, is what I should say. These are just our fences. So are there any numbers outside of that range of numbers there from negative 36 to? Okay, the max. So we know that there's at least one outlier because 250 is the max and it is outside the fences. Okay, now remember, that doesn't mean that's the only one, but that's the only one that we can tell directly from this information given. I think there's one at least on the worksheet thing that we'll actually do it with the list of numbers. So, all right, part C, create a box plot of these data. So our minimum value is 6, so I would just start at 0. And then our maximum value is 250, but we know that to be an outlier, okay? I'll show you how I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw it in increments of 10, actually probably increments of 20. Is what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to show the one that's out at 250 so you don't take up like 80 pages of space. So we don't have our next closest value to our fence, so we're going to use our 109.75 as our fence. Okay, and then we're going to draw the outlier at 250. So what we're going to do, actually I need to not do that, is we're going to draw a little gap here and then put 250 there. So I'm going to go like 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, and then I'm going to let that just be a gap there to show that there's just a gap in the data because we don't want to draw out the whole thing. So then we just want to draw it in. So our minimum is at 6. And then Q1 is at 18.5. Median is at 33.5. Q3 is at 55. And then, like I said, we're going to draw our upper fence, or our max value as our fence of 109. And I'm just going to make a note that this is my upper fence value, just so if you go back to look, you know that that wasn't the max value. And then our outlier is 250, so I'm just going to put a little star there at 250. Because like I said, with a dot, you may not actually be able to tell that. Was it a pencil mark or was it actually a dot? Now, as far as getting ready for Part D, it wants you to write a few sentences about the vineyards. I'm okay with you just kind of writing just a couple little bullet points about it. That's probably what I'm going to do. But in regards to this, we said at the beginning that it's skewed right. So if it's skewed, should we be looking at our mean or our median? Median.
Metric, then
Yeah, because the median is resistant to the skew that's on it. So just a couple things that I would note about this problem is that it's a range of 6 to 250 acres. I would say that most are around 33.5 acres. Because that's our median. And then I would talk about the middle 50%, which is our IQR. So I would say the middle 50% are sized between 18.5 and 55 acres. And you could write that in sentences if you want, but bullet points are sufficient. All right, so we're going to look at that worksheet now. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you homework tonight. Because we probably won't get through all of this today anyways, and even if we did, I would still give you time tomorrow because it's a long section, and if you already have a lot of homework, I'm not going to add to it. All right.
My cousin just had a baby, 9 pounds and like 5 ounces.
Yes, you
God bless the mom. All right, so this first part here is kind of more of just a review. When we're describing distribution and we're talking about shape, what things are we referring to?
5
They're all the same there. Uniform. And then if they're not symmetric, then they are what? Skewed. So we just say skewed left or right. As far as the center, when we just talked about this, but what are the two things that we use for center?
The mean and the median.
Mean or median. When do we use mean? Okay, when it is symmetric and unimodal. What about median? Skewed, or if it is multimodal. What about the spread? What are the two things that we're looking at for that?
The min and the max. Oh wait, the quartiles.
Okay, so IQR would be one of them. Yep, and standard deviation would be the other. Okay, so standard deviation. Standard deviation is used when? Symmetric and unimodal. So mean and standard deviation always go together. So then median and IQR always go together. So IQR is if it's skewed or multimodal. And then what are some other unusual features that we would want to mention? Outliers. Okay, we're going to mention that they exist. Consider removing the number that is an outlier. Consider removing and then recalculating. Because sometimes it can really throw it off.
What is that first word?
This one?
Yeah.
Just mention them. Mention that there are outliers. What was the other thing that we saw when we looked at histograms? Not necessarily outliers, but yep, gaps. And again, we just want to mention that there are gaps. If it was a matter of changing your window to see the gaps, make sure you note that you made the bin size smaller and that is what led to you seeing the gaps. All right, I'm gonna over here attempt to draw. Don't know why. I guess I didn't make a copy of the one that has them drawn on it for you. So, I'm gonna attempt to draw the cumulative GPA picture over here. And this is the cumulative college GPA on this side. You won't need that much space over here, so if you need to go into it a little bit, it'll be fine. And the title of this, it's the cumulative, definitely only one M. Cumulative GPA for autumn of 2003. So then I'm going to do it for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So the first one's going to be sophomores. I'm going to also add 2 tallies between these so that we can see stuff a little bit better. And it's going to be 0.25 is the difference in every tally, in case you didn't notice that. Okay, so now I'm going to do sophomores first. Alright, so that one's for sophomores.
Where'd you get that information?
I should have given it to you. Like, I have it. I don't know where the copy is that I have it drawn on. It's not the one that's got all the answers on it.
You could have given us that one.
Then this one. And I'm just going to make a note. This lower one for juniors is going to be 1.6. Just because it's really close there. Don't worry, on a quiz or something, I'll actually give you this information. All right, and then lastly, seniors. I'll let y'all copy that and then we'll answer the questions about it. Did y'all get it? I get it. It's fine. All right, so which class has the lowest cumulative distribution or the lowest cumulative college GPA, and what is the approximate value of that GPA?
Juniors?
The juniors, and it's about a 1.6 cumulative GPA. Which class has the highest median GPA, and what is that? Yep. Sophomores in Nevada, 3.25 cumulative GPA. And then which class has the largest range for GPA, and what is the GPA? Or what is that GPA? Juniors.
0.6 to 1.6 to 4.
Yep, so that range is going to be 4.0 minus 1.6, which is what? Yep. This is the max. All right, and I think there's a part D that goes with this as well. I'm going to have to, the part D isn't going to show up on mine. I'm going to have to go to another screen for it, so. Y'all have all this, so I can go to the next one. Okay. All right, so then which class has the most symmetric set of GPAs, and then which one has the most skewed? So symmetric. And it's the one that looks the most symmetric, not necessarily saying it's exactly.
Sophomores are skewed. What?
Let me see yours because my drawers
So the seniors, because it's pretty even on both sides, the juniors is a little bit off on one side. Not by a lot, but the seniors is more so than. So the seniors, and then how about the most skewed? Yep. And what direction is it skewed? I looked at it the right way this time. All right, so then the next one says, a survey conducted in the same college intro stats course asked students about the number of credit hours they are taking that quarter. The number of credit hours for a random sample of 16 students produced the histogram below. Which statistics would you use to identify the center and spread of this distribution, and why?
It's talking about the shape, right?
Yep. Okay, so then what do you want to use for the center then?
Median.
And what about the spread? Which thing goes?
IQR.
Yep. Median and IQR, because, like you said, it's bimodal. And it also, you could probably argue, is skewed left. At least a little bit. All right, so then some information that, again, I need to figure out where the page is that has all the stuff on it. But the count, I'm going to give you the statistics from what the calculator would give you. So the count, there's 16 of them. The mean is 16.3. The median is 16. The standard deviation, I'm just gonna write this as SD, is 3.7, min 10, max 22, Q1 14.5, and Q3 is 20. So if you were gonna create a box plot for these data, what would you do? Don't die on us, Ethan.
You would do your math to get your fences.
I would say you could probably argue that you don't need to check the fences because there doesn't appear to be any outliers up here. So you could get away with not checking it.
So then your Q3 is 20 and your Q1 is 14.
Why everybody in school gotta be sick, man?
Huh?
Why everybody in school gotta be sick?
It's the back to school bug, as my cousin calls it.
Like, last week was terrible. Like, I thought I would be done.
Every 5 seconds I hear something. You can sniff or cough.
It's so bad. Well, last year during this time, everyone had COVID, so
Yeah.
no one was
So,
here.
progress.
Everybody had cold last year.
Yeah, it was
Literally, like, the whole volleyball team got it. And it was like somebody would go down, and then 2 more people would go down, then 2 more people would go down. That was brutal.
It was,
And we weren't even around each other after that.
it was something like that with us.
I'd already had it. Like, I had it like the week before they all got it. The day I could come back was the day that they tested positive.
It was like we were quarantined because some middle schooler had COVID, like the first week of school, so we weren't there. And then we came back for like 2 days, and then that weekend we all went home, and we were just so sick. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And then we were all gone.
I
for
got
like
it
2
from
weeks.
church.
Yeah, there was a period of time where my church had to like close because no one was there because everybody had COVID.
Yeah.
We started doing services outside. Cause we had this big
Oh yeah.
patch of grass.
Where do you go?
It's the church downtown. It's called Virginia Baptist Church of Christ.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like this big piece of grass by the church. So we all just park our cars
That's cool.
and bring the
Joe, use like a radio transmitter thing.
No, so what we did, they brought all the music equipment outside, like the drums, organ, and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
And then they put it in like the center of the grass, and everybody just parked their cars around it, and everybody would just have church from their cars.
That's so cool.
And
That's
then
awesome.
If you like, instead of clapping, you honk your horn.
That's amazing.
The pastor would say
That's so
something
great.
good in the message, and you just hear a ton of horns on it. It's so funny.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we went like online for like 2 months, and then my pastor was like, this is stupid. It's literally like
Yeah. That's funny.
crazy.
My mom would not stop honking.
Is she like that in church normally?
No, she quiet in church, kind of.
My church
Depends
is
on how she feels.
my church is always like, amen, hallelujah, and I'm like, yeah, you go guys.
My favorite was our pastor went on a sabbatical. So they had a bunch of different pastors from like the like local area come in, and this guy walks in the first week. And he was like, guys, he's like, I'm what you call a hollaback preacher. He was like, I want you to yell back at me the whole service.
Yeah.
That was the loudest church service ever.
Really
It was so
That's
funny.
my church. That's what my pastor calls it. It's kind of funny.
I'm like, all right. All right, so let's finish this box plot. We're getting close on time. So we have a min at 10. Q1 is 14.5. Median is at 16. And then Q3 is at 20. And our max is at 22. So to describe this distribution, what would we say in terms of
Skewed left.
skewed left? We can tell from up here that it's bimodal, not really something you can tell from over here, but it's skewed left and bimodal. And I'm just going to note that that's from the histogram because you wouldn't be able to tell that otherwise. Our center is what?
Oh, you wrote it down. Median.
Okay, which is what?
Multimodal and skewed.
Well, the median, sorry, I mean, like, what is the median value
Oh,
with units?
16.
Okay, 16, and we don't say it's credit hours. And then the spread would be what? IQR, which is what for this one?
It's 5.5.
Yep, IQR is going to be 5.5 credit hours. All right, so we may skip the next one just because it's basically the same thing we've been doing. But we're going to definitely look at example 4 tomorrow about the moose burgers and McTofu. And so we'll put all that data in the calculator and then get all of your information that you need and so on and so forth and go from there.